Analysis Center profiled her and others in her state as a potentially dangerous radical militia based on their political ideologies and their activities. The report has since been retracted. 4 legislative hearings in Missouri have been held. Since December 17, 2009, she has been traveling the road from state to state, meeting with Fusion Center staff, conducting activist training, interviewing those adversely and positively affected by Fusion Center, and working to gain a better understanding of these institutions in an effort to find a solution that will defuse the tension between our law enforcement communities and the general public. Her primary concerns with Fusion Centers can be summed up in 4 words: state sovereignty and personal privacy. Catherine represents the new, young force of activists who are ready to carry liberty's torch into the future. Catherine.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate y'all coming out here tonight. As was just mentioned, I am from the state of Missouri, and I'm sure all of you heard about the infamous MIAC report that was released to the press on March 6th of 2009. It's actually dated February 20th of 2009, and it was released during the National Fusion Center conference that was being held in Kansas City, Missouri at the time. Now, the ACLU held a protest at the Fusion Center conference, and I didn't go. I thought about it, but I didn't really know what they were, and I didn't really care, so I didn't go. By the end of that week, this report had been released, and I dove in headfirst into research about these things, trying to understand them. I was able to go to the 2010 National Fusion Center Conference in New Orleans this year, which was really informative for me. I'd like to make one correction, though, from the introduction. You did say at the very beginning that Campaign for Liberty was listed as a terrorist organization. I want to be really clear about what the MIAC report specifically says, because it's really important that we're, if we're holding people accountable, we're holding them accountable for the correct things, and there's been a lot of misconceptions about it. But the report actually says that radical violent militia members are commonly members of Campaign for Liberty, supporters of Ron Paul, Bob Barr, Chuck Baldwin, and displayed images such as this one right here. And so basically it didn't come right out and say, if you are a member of Campaign for Liberty, you should be considered a potential radical violent threat. It's, if you know that this person's a member of Campaign for Liberty, just be aware that they might potentially maybe be a radical violent militia member. So, it wasn't a straight out labeling that this group should be considered a terrorist organization, but it was definitely inferred that violence could come from a member of Campaign for Liberty or someone who wears or carries such things as the Gadsden flag. So I just wanted to clarify that. And I also want to say that I learned something really neat from the Texas activist community, and it's kind of the philosophy that I've been trying to utilize. And John Bush talks a lot about this, but since he's not here, I'll bring it up for him. And that's to humanize, harmonize, and localize. To always, in this day and age, we've become so technology-driven that the biggest results we're going to have is when we're engaged in things like this right here. We're putting human faces behind, the Facebook page or the website or the scandal you heard about on the news. Getting out and engaging people face to face is really the only way I think that we should be interacting with each other when it comes to issues like this. And to harmonize, we may not all agree on everything, but if there's one issue that we can come together on, whether we are members of the general public or members of the law enforcement community, we need to find those issues and rally around them, because it's easy to get sucked into all the negative things, but when we're harmonizing with each other, we may find that the things we thought we disagreed on, really we don't disagree so much, and we can find constructive solutions where everyone is happy. And of course, to localize, the most power is at the local level, and our founders knew that, and that's why our country was designed as a union of sovereign states. I have with me here the Missouri Constitution, and I want to read to you my favorite line, and I'm sure there's something like this in the Maryland Constitution, but it's Article 1, Section 4, and it says that Missouri is a free and independent state, subject only to the Constitution of the United States. So in our Constitution, it states that we're a free state, and we are to be held accountable to the United States Constitution, but other than that, we're free to govern ourselves. And the role of the federal government is clearly stated in the Constitution, particularly in the 9th and 10th Amendments, where it says all powers not delegated to the federal government in this document don't belong to the federal government, and they can't take it, and you can't add any more powers, and you can't take anything away. This is it. This is your job description. This is what you are to do as the federal government. That's the power that we are granting you as free people, members of sovereign states. And the state of Missouri signed on to that. Maryland signed on to that. That's the agreement that we all signed on to with the United States Constitution, and it's reiterated in everyone's state constitutions. So